Delivering Email Success. It's Chapter 1, Defining Your Value Proposition. What we're going to cover is why should I sign up for your campaign? How should your value proposition be displayed to prospects? Is the message you send consistent across channels? Is what you're sending working? And we're going to talk about show and tell and the value of showcasing your value proposition. This series that we've put together is all about achieving success with your email marketing. We've assembled 25 best practices that will help you improve your consumer engagement. Our principles are applicable to business, business to consumer, and even consumer to business. We've compiled this based on lessons learned from over 1,000 brands. Ryan and I are bringing this presentation together for you. We've put together this series, which is a series of 25 short and effective 15-minute segments to enhance your learning experience and continue to allow you to accelerate your learning so you can achieve email marketing excellence. It's brought to you by Adestra, and Ryan's going to tell us a little more about what Adestra does and what they can deliver.
Thanks, Sandeep. Adestra is happy to be presenting this webinar along with Sandeep and his great knowledge. Adestra is an 11-year-old email service provider, servicing clients across the world in different categories, different verticals. This gives us a cross-channel focus, but also a perspective to carry these ideas from the finance industry where applicable into other industries. So we're pleased to be on this webinar today, and this is just an idea of some of our clients.
You know, one thing, Ryan, you bring out that is really good is that you work in these different segments, and I really like the ease of use of the application, especially even if you're an agency and you work with so many different clients. The ability to work in a platform that is intuitive makes such a big difference. And I know it is more than just what the product is. Adestra does much more than technology, correct?
That's right. We've, with 11 years in our belt and a legacy that is one of the best in the industry, we not only work on a technology basis, and that's been, the focus of email marketers for years is it's a technology decision. More and more with technology growing so fast, it's not just about the technology, it's about the service that marketers need on a daily basis and how fast can they get that information. As a global leader in providing service to our clients, we focus heavily on providing instant and complete service on any range of questions, either with your campaign or with your strategy.
Now, Ryan and I have known each other for many years, but Ryan, tell us about your role at the EEC and some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, so I've been in the business for 17 years. I'm currently the chairman of the board for the Email Evolution Conference and the Email Experience Council, which is the digital arm of the DMA. I've been involved in that organization at the senior level for the last 4 years. And then I'm also on the board of the ESPC, as well as numerous other organizations and groups within the industry.
I know a lot of practicality that Ryan brings to the table comes from his experience working at brands. And you will see a lot of that as we talk through some of these best practices today and in the rest of the series. I'm Sandeep Kapoor. I've been involved in email marketing for many years. I started writing a blog that now has a little more than 2,000 articles. And my lesson today is I'm going to draw upon my experiences from some of these brands so I can share the best practice, the impact, and try to help you in terms of how you engage with the consumers that you seek and those that you serve. One such example of a company that I started working with was King Arthur Flour. And I want to highlight to you a very simple thing. This is a reflection of their sign up page. It says sign up for our email newsletter. It tells you the 4 reasons you ought to sign up. Asks you simply for your name, your last name, and your email address. If you notice, they're showcasing the types of recipes, the types of things that they're putting out there. And what they are also doing is they're doing a little visual showing off of campaigns. But the one thing that I'd really like you folks to start thinking about is think of branding your email marketing campaign with a name. King Arthur Flour calls theirs Nourish. Can you imagine a conversation with a customer service rep at King Arthur Flour where they're talking to you about signing up for either the email blast, the email newsletter, or Nourish? What sounds better? Ryan, what sounds better to you?
I would say anything that doesn't mention blasting.
You're absolutely right. And that is one of the key success factors is the customer needs to be sold on what it is, why it is your value proposition, because that's how you take things even further. See, when you say, why should I sign up for your program? The typical answers that we get, the 3 most popular reasons are that, hey, it's exclusive to email. We're going to share with you discounts and offers. And of course, we're going to provide valuable tips to you. And whether you do this in business to consumer settings or business to business settings, we're talking about products or services. We're talking about white papers, webinars, and events. In fact, at some point, this series will be marketed via email as a means for you to learn more, etc. The thing is, we need to highlight this value proposition for the consumer because that's what makes it that much more powerful. Now, these may not be the only reasons why someone should sign up for your program. And even though it would be great for you to list all 20 to 25 to 30 reasons on your website for a search engine marketing perspective, it is not the most intuitive to the consumer. So our suggestion to you is think like a customer. Try to see what is easy to read. List the reasons simply. Make them as intuitive and graphical as possible. And every now and then personalize it, change it, keeping in mind that the computer or the laptop is not the only way people sign up. With so much emphasis being put on mobile, you want to make it as easy as possible. So if you think about it, what is your value proposition? You want to make your value proposition as prominent as possible. You want to succinctly list the benefits. You want to make it crisp, clear, and concise, where you're telling people why they are opting in to receive your campaign. There's an interesting article that I recently read, Ryan, and it talks about how people get tricked to signing up for emails just like they get tricked into signing up for Roach Motels as they go on vacation. It's really easy to sign up, but people don't know why, and they really cannot get off. And I know the EEC takes a strong stance in explaining to people why the benefits are and how you can make it easy to unsubscribe as well.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want people on your list that don't want to be there. Additionally, you don't want to make it hard for the consumer to break away. And so we emphasize with our clients to not only follow the legislative guidelines that are out there, but the guidelines put forth by the receivers and ISPs and our own terms of service. So we want the sign-up process to be authentic, an authentic demonstration of the brand so you can get that primary email address, but also we want the opposite to be true as well.
Like you said, the sign-up process should be as easy as possible. Now, the question comes up, should you double opt-in? And the thing is, if you've got a legitimate list, you can use that second interaction with the consumer you serve to basically try to know a little more about them if you have to double opt them in. But the idea again is if you're explicit, like Ryan said up front, you have very little to worry about later on. A very interesting way people do this is they try to tell their consumers the rest of the story, which is you start off with a little intrigue, perhaps some incentive, and then when you send that campaign out to the consumer, if they want an answer to the trivia, they will be served that trivia answer up as they get that follow-up email from you. Perhaps they get that coupon from you, or perhaps it's something that you would send to them at one of your other channels. Now, of course, as you put these campaigns out, you want to make sure that it is working. And how do people measure success? You do this by saying, are people opening and clicking? What is the response time to your campaign? Are people responding in the first few hours? Or is it taking them a very long time to respond? Imagine if you were putting out an alert on a product recall, something that's important, and your consumer did not pay attention to it. It took them 3 or 4 days. Well, I'm sure you're going to contact them to check up with them so you can do a better job. But this means that your other channel costs go up. And that's what you want to make sure, that not only is your response time less, but you're also doing a good job as far as showing up in the inbox. And I know, Ryan, we are going to cover one really long and precise webinar as far as email deliverability is concerned. If there are a couple of tips you could share with people on the phone today, that would be awesome as well.
Sure. On email deliverability, it's about, at the time of acquisition, having the most accurate email address, but there's also making sure that every time you send an email, you're looking at your statistics. Did you get into trouble? Did somebody decline or mark you as spam? Have you pushed the limits of your cadence? There's a lot of things you can do, but mainly it starts with making sure you have good acquisition and also making sure that you look at the reporting that you get back on every campaign.
Certainly, your intent goes a long way. And the things we should also do as we put these campaigns out is we ought to test. And the things we test are subject lines, of course, the content within the campaign, and then even as we become more matured as to what is the landing page, what are the benefits of different types of landing pages, and we will cover these in more detail in one of our subsequent webinars as well. But a lesson I share with everybody is don't just set things up and forget about them. Keep testing it, keep auditing your campaigns. You always keep learning, and it takes you even further. When we started today off, we talked about showcasing your campaigns. Now, the things you can show and tell are past campaigns, because it tells the recipient what they can expect from your brand. What you also want to showcase is feedback. Real feedback from real people makes a big difference. Yes, it makes a real difference because people see people like themselves. And then, of course, you want to showcase your assurance, which basically says you provide that brand guarantee that says we do not sell our email list, or you're not just suddenly going to show up on another list. Or, like Ryan said earlier, if you make it easy for them to opt out whenever they want to, that guarantee goes a long way. And you want to do that to show people that you indeed are someone that can be trusted, that will be communicated with well. So Ryan, I know we talk a lot about how people ought to sign up and what the value proposition is. But so many times what happens is, because it's my brand, because it's your brand, because it's our brand, we know why, and all those answers are in our heads. So if we rattle off 2 or 3 lines, it makes a lot of sense to us. But this may not be making sense to the consumer right away. So a suggested strategy I provide to people is basically think about your business. Think about who are your consumers, what you provide to them, and why do they interact with you. Now think about your consumer type, what stage they are. Why do you think they value the message from you? If someone's just purchased something from you and you're a big furniture company, well, maybe they'll value your messages if you give them information about how to maintain that furniture. So you have to establish that type of cadence with them. Next, think in terms of your products and services. What do you think is the most valuable to your consumer? What I do then is I write these reasons down and I come up with a mission statement for digital. But what I also do is I come up with a lot of one-liners, short snippets that then I teach my front line. I keep testing them. I try to keep them as conversational because what I'm telling you, Ryan, is you want to sign up to learn more from Adestra because Adestra provides, and then you list that value proposition for your consumer. The idea is you want to make it really easy for the consumer. And I'll give you the easy test. First, think in terms of how long do you think it would take for your value proposition to be explained by a customer to a prospect. Now, I said customer, which means somebody you have already won over. Next, think in terms of what would it take for a subscriber, someone who's merely receiving your email campaigns they haven't converted yet, to describe to someone else. Now, think in terms of this is, could they do it in 30 seconds or less? If you make it conversational, if you list these benefits succinctly, it goes a long way in trying to drive that increased value. And of course, Ryan, I know there's so much going on with mobile and the consumer wanting to be served in almost near real time as possible. Adestra has done some really interesting research here.
Yeah, we have, Sandeep. So we just released a consumer report out to 1,200 consumers across the United States. And one of the questions we asked, because of that near real-time component of email that it can be on triggers, transactionals, and we've been talking about acquisition today, you want the best first impression. So even though you've described your company succinctly, you want the first email that they get, that welcome email, to be perfect and a true representation of the brand. But what consumers have told us over and over again is if the email looks bad on their mobile device, in their tablet, on their computer, the first thing that they do, or what they are more predisposed to do, is delete that email. So make sure that your emails look good in the inbox, that they are a true representation of your brand, because that first impression could be of them hitting the delete button.
Right. And this research you talk about, I have one graph up here that you described to people, but tell us more about the study that Adestra did.
Yep. So the study was conducted, like I said, 1,200 people across the United States. We looked at 3 key demographics. We looked at teens, we looked at millennials, and we looked at baby boomers, about what their behaviors are on digital devices, mobile, social, email. And we published the report, 22 plus pages, that is available on adestra.com/brighttalk for free. But download it. It gives you a great deal of information, especially what teenagers think about email. And the answer to that question may be very surprising.
It is indeed a very powerful report. We appreciate your time. We hope the information that we've shared with you is useful. It was a quick session. It's simple. It's effective. Do let us know if you want to learn more. We've provided you with our contact information. We'd love to get your feedback. And of course, keep in mind that report Ryan talked about is on adestra.com/brighttalk. More learning is at Bright Talk as well. We thank you all for your time.